Last Dance. Have you? Because I'm still 2 away. Did you watch? Did you watch all 10?
Of course I did. Of
Yeah.
course I did. And that should be required viewing
Yes.
for anybody who ever wants to achieve anything in life. And you should go back and you should continue to watch it. And I know that there's been some criticism from, documentarians because Jordan had, final edit and all that. And that's what I think made it amazing because I've been watching the guy since he was at Carolina. So for close to 40 years, other people have been telling his story, and he finally got to tell his story. And I don't know what these people are upset about because the way they perceived him was, I think, through eyes of envy. And I had no idea that he was that great of a teammate, that he was that coachable.
Yeah.
That like in 96, he gets into a fight with Steve Kerr and Phil Jackson kicks him out of practice and he leaves, because Phil's the coach. Like they came up with Michael Jordan and his supporting cast, and then he started saying it. Then they act like he came up with it, but he just seemed like that, all that stuff, going to go see Rodman and Rodman coming up saying, do you have a cigar? He didn't apologize, but he understood the psychology of what he was doing. It was
fascinating, man. And
yeah.
He apparently his daughter said that, he didn't want this to come out for a while and he was very worried about it. And now he had an article out recently that said he could breathe a sigh of relief because everybody knew him as the Gatorade guy and everybody knew him as the McDonald's guy, smiling and kids' hero. And he was afraid it was going to come out that he was an asshole. And that's why he cried in that interview where he goes, look, I know when people watch this, they're going to think I'm a jerk and I'm not a nice guy, but there's a certain way to play to win. And if you want to win, you got to do it. He started crying and he goes, all right, break. And he took it out. But I got
to be honest with you. That has nothing to do with him. People thinking he's a jerk. That's people just envious of him. And
yeah,
because I talked to a few people and they were just going like, well, I mean, that's like, he's kind of like really intense. I'm like, no, that's what you need to do what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what is the
I like him better. I actually like him better after it. Like the first cut, like when it, in like episode 3, when his teammates were like, oh dude, he came in and we were like, but then I just realized, I'm like, no, man, like he's the reason why. And Scottie, here's the other thing too. Scottie Pippen, as great of a player as he is, and I think Scottie Pippen is an all-time great. He's one of the greatest on-ball defenders of all time. But Scottie Pippen, what Jordan did for him, I think Jordan made him one of the best players to ever live because he just had that guy next to him that did it, man, that did it and kind of wanted, like, dude.
You couldn't be around a guy like that. That's like if you're on like a more simplistic version in our life is if a buddy of yours goes on stage and he tries out a new bit, night after night after night, and he's building his act. It's like it pulls you along with him. And it's like, even if you're not as good as he are, you're going to get better. And what he did, how committed he was and how bad he wanted to win every single year. If it's the level of leadership that he showed, because the thing about it is when the top dog drags ass, then he sets the tone. If he's busting his ass, then everybody else has to bust his ass. If he's listening to the coach, everybody else has to listen to the coach. I mean, that sort of dynamic exists in everything from sports to the military to like literally if you do a movie. If the lead in the movie is being a fucking prima donna jerk off, I mean, that trickles all the way down to like a fucking PA because everybody's just miserable. But if the person who's starring is a sweetheart, then it's like the greatest hang ever.
I was in the green room. I'm going to bring this into comedy real quick. I was in the green room and I brought a buddy of mine that I like. He's from Philadelphia and he's a guy I can talk sports with, but he can hang. He smokes cigars. He kind of knows how I am. I know how he is. And it was what you did with people that opened for you, guys that you thought were funny, but guys that you understood. And he goes, after the weekend, he goes, man, I just the way you talk to the people in the green room and the way you handle your business is good. And I would never be an asshole anyway, but I went on the road and I learned from you. And when me and you would drive and go, hey man, try that bit tonight. And you go, yeah. And I go, you try that bit tonight. And we would always do that and just say anything. And I think Jordan was the guy going like, you're doing that. That's what you got to do. And that's what eventually got them over the hump with the Pistons.
I just loved watching how he interacted with the security, and you'd see him on the road and he would be joking around to people, driving by in the golf carts and stuff. Like he was like a really like, I know he worked those guys real hard in practice and stuff, but like, how could you get upset as a professional player? You get to play with the greatest player of all time, and he's going to bring the best out in you. Especially with athletes at that level, I think it'd be a no-brainer that you would want to want to play with them.
The fact that he said, I punched the smallest guy, what the fuck am I doing? And I was wrong. That kind of showed me that because Steve Kerr was like, yeah, dude, he said some things to me that he shouldn't have said, and he was a real dick. And then he actually called him up and bonded with him. That showed me that he wasn't a full on, that showed me that he was a man, that he was like, well,
yeah, look, dude, we all say shit we shouldn't have said or whatever, but the media just blows shit out of proportion.